Well, good morning. I'm delighted here this morning to welcome my favorite company in all of dental, which is Banyan. I've been speaking about them for a long, long time. Finally, we've consummated a relationship with them, and we're excited about this new journey ahead together to really shape dentistry in this new frontier that's coming ahead of us. Dentistry is evolving significantly over the next, has been evolving, and it's going to evolve even more so. And so I'm here with Nikki Rasmussen, who's the VP of Business Development for Banyan, and with Paul Jones, who's the VP of Client Success. And both of them have been with Banyan executive team for a while, and uh, they've they've grown significantly over the last um, several years, and I wanted to sit down with them to really understand what's going on with the digital world today, what is going on with social media. Because again, as we see, there's so much marketing noise out there, right? You go to demo shows, there's hundreds of companies out there that are doing all sorts of things from websites to social media, and it's confusing because there's a lot of jargon thrown in this space. Like, oh, I need social media. What does that mean, right? What does that mean? So, uh, I think the first thing I want to talk about with you guys is really what's the role of digital in today's world. I mean, we know it's important. All of us know we're constantly glued to our cell phones. And so what's the role that digital play in terms of really engaging the new customer, the patients that are uh, selecting a dental office today, are using digital tools quite a bit, right? And I mean, and so that's the first question: is that what the role of digital is in today's in dentistry today? Um, Paul, start talking to us about what is the role, I mean, and
Yeah,
how important it is.
absolutely. So I always like to think about digital, the world of digital in terms of the old world, which is, you know, a lot of dentists, when you're out there building your practice, you're spending a lot of time designing your practice. You're spending a lot of time crafting the patient experience. How will they move through your office space? What does your office space look like? What does the waiting room look like? And so there's a lot of effort that's put into what is my practice going to look like and how does that practice represent me?
Okay.
And I think you hit on something really important, which is a lot of us think we need to be on digital, but we've got to take that a step further and we have to say, how are we architecting the digital experience?
Nice.
It's one thing to be on Facebook, it's a whole nother thing to be able to craft what that patient experience looks like. So, in terms of being in the digital space, you've got to think about how you want to represent yourself in the digital space. Um, you'll be able to attract patients that are attracted to you. Um, in the old days when you were looking for a dentist, life is when you're trying to provide a provider is about judgment, right?
Right.
So I'm looking at dental practices and I have to judge whether I want to go there or not. Is it for me? Is it nice? Is it clean? Is it am I going to have a good patient experience? Well, in the digital world, I can actually do a much better judgment because I've got reviews. I've got social media. I can see what the practice looks like inside. So one of the things that we're really big on is a window into your practice. And that's what the digital world does for you, is it provides a window in.
Nikki, I mean, we've seen Amazon, companies like Amazon and TripAdvisor, basically, uh, they have changed the way people make decisions. I mean, with the reviews, right? Amazon was, I think, the first company that really made the customer buying process all about the reviews.
Sure.
We read the reviews and we start buying the stuff, whether
Sure.
it's the reviews on the product or whether now it's reviews even on the sellers, right?
Absolutely.
And they really revolutionized and they validated why reviews are essential today. We go to TripAdvisor, we go to Yelp, we go to obviously Google reviews, all these reviews, and so what is the decision making process? How much is it based on online reviews now versus word of mouth?
Absolutely.
What have you seen in Banyan?
Well, reviews is your first date. Just like Paul said, instantly, as soon as you want to know whether the practice is relevant online, the very first thing you do is go and stalk them online. You want to know what other people are saying about them.
Okay.
Right? A review is now just the same as getting a testimonial from somebody that's a complete stranger, but as soon as you read what they say about them, and if you feel that the review is authentic,
Right.
it's the same as a personal referral. And so, yes, Amazon and Yelp have changed that, but Facebook is also a relevant source as well. And if you look at the flow of traffic online, that flow of traffic has changed tremendously. Because as soon as somebody searches for a dentist, the very first thing they look at is their star rating and how many reviews make up that star rating.
Sure.
And then if they'll read 6 or 7 of them, and if they feel confident in that, the next flow is to go to their Facebook page. Why? Because they want to get to know the dentist before they go into their office. And so the review essentially is the first date with your patient. It's the first step in the patient's experience with you.
So how does Banyan facilitate that, right? On a global level, yes, there's lots of review companies out there, and so how does Banyan facilitate that, the review collection process?
Sure.
At the beginning, you have to get the reviews, right?
Sure.
And hopefully they're good.
Yeah.
And hopefully you're a good
Right.
dentist. So how does Banyan come into the picture with that review process?
So reviews, so after social media, reviews was a really good second for us. And the reason why is as soon as Banyan saw that the reviews was the first date,
Okay.
we sat and we had a lot of debate over what type of reviews do we want to collect. Do we just send out a mass automated review to every single patient that walks into your door?
Sure.
But we noticed that the conversion rates on those were really, really low.
Okay.
If you're sitting at a restaurant right now, and you leave the restaurant and you get an automated text message from the restaurant,
yeah.
right? Life happens when you leave that restaurant, right? You end up going to the soccer game, or you got to get home to make dinner, the lunch. Life happens, right? So Banyan's philosophy when it comes to reviews is get it while they're sitting in your chair. So if you were sitting in the restaurant, and the waitress comes over and says, "We've enjoyed so much. Thank you guys. I know that you loved this. Would you leave us a review?" If they're asking for it,
right there.
the studies have shown that your conversion rate, if they are asked, rather than an automated, just a general review or just a general text message asking for a review,
Right.
the conversion rates are so much higher if it's a human-to-human, personal ask, rather than an automated something that's generated from a computer.
And, it's really about connection.
It really is.
Connecting with your patients. And at the end of the day, a patient knows. So basically what patients are doing in the digital world is they're shopping for an experience.
Sure.
They know what they're looking for. They know that they're afraid of the dentist, for example.
Right.
So they're looking for specific things that they know are going to help them or make them feel comfortable. And so the quality of reviews that you receive is really important. I was a story to illustrate this. We were traveling across the country, and my wife and I were coming back from Omaha to Utah. So she was in dental school at the time.
Sure.
And it was 3 a.m. and we come into where were we? We were in Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Okay.
Never been there before. 3 a.m. and we're like, we've got to get a hotel room.
Sure.
And we start looking up reviews for all the hotel rooms around us.
Absolutely.
And what's important to me is I want to sleep in a clean bed,
Right.
and I want to have a clean room. I don't care what the room looks like, but if we're tired, that's all I care about. So
Right.
I'm looking at all the reviews for all the hotels, and every single hotel that had space open had less than 3-star reviews. But again, we're looking for an experience. So what's important to me? So I start reading through what the reviews are saying. And there was this one hotel that stood out where review after review after review is saying, the front office staff wasn't nice,
Right.
but the room was clean,
Right.
and the bed was, and I'm like, perfect. So you're less than a 3-star review, but what's important to me is that aspect of it.
So how does the social media aspect connect with the reviews. So obviously they're intertwined, right? Social media is a way for people to express what they feel about whatever it is, in so that their friends and family and their whoever they are can
Sure.
listen to that. Can actually see what it is. So how do reviews? So Banyan, obviously you take the reviews, but they have to be kind of showcased
Sure.
um, on social media, right? To be able to
Right.
be seen and monetized. At the end of the day, what we want to do in dentistry is be able to take their reputation and monetize it so that more patients feel comfortable choosing you and referring friends and family to you. Right? And that's the process, right?
Sure. Well, the review is the testimonial. It's the written testimonial, right? Your social media says the same thing, but in a picture.
Totally.
So they go hand in hand,
Yeah.
right? So you want to be consistent online so that your reviews, your star rating, and then your social media is all saying the same thing. You want to be consistent.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Exactly.
So think about that. So a picture is like a review, and it's just a very detailed review.
Yes.
It's very interesting because we know the Confucius is it's worth 1,000 words, right? So you could type up all this stuff, but
Right.
but when you see somebody smile, and you can read so much from a picture
Right.
that you couldn't read from a long blog post,
Absolutely.
for example, because I mean, who's got the time
Yeah.
today to do all that
Well, you
stuff?
see character in a photograph. You see the relationship between the patient and the doctor. You see so much more. And just as Paul is saying, you see so much more in an instant. But you have to make sure that it's consistent, right? You have to work with the flow.
Right.
And as soon as the flow is all saying the same thing, that is when you'll see success with your online reputation.
This is so important. It's one of the first times I think I'm having this conversation that talks about consistency of patient experience. Because the moment you break that consistency, patients become suspicious about
Sure.
what you're doing, what you're offering, and it carries, that suspicion carries throughout the life cycle of the patient.
Sure.
From the time they look at you online, and then we obviously deal with a lot with Patient Prism on what that experience looks like on the phone.
Sure.
Because they've seen you online, they found you online, they saw the review online, and then all of a sudden they get a bad experience on the phone,
Right.
and then
Causes
it stops them
Sure.
from going forward.
Right.
So the digital world, I think, to summarize this again, I think you can't really escape that anymore.
No.
You cannot say that I don't want a website or I don't care about reviews. All my patients are going to come from referral sources.
Sure.
Even if you refer, I mean, what we've seen in our experience is even if you refer, so I'm referring a friend of mine to my dentist. My friend is going to go online and check, even though I'm referring them,
Sure.
and they trust me, they're going to still need the validation
Sure.
from stories or pictures. So I think it's almost
It's no longer
impossible.
optional.
It's
Well,
not.
and where are those referrals happening as well? So you may have, we hear this all the time in dentistry that word of mouth marketing is the most effective way of marketing. Well, 20, 30 years ago, word of mouth marketing was that phone conversation you're
Right.
having with your friend. In today's world, it's happening on digital. So you may
Right.
have told your friend on Facebook. You may have told your friend through any, Snapchat or through any channel.
Instagram, whatever
or
that
Instagram.
is.
So-
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to get out of the mindset that word of mouth marketing is a conversation to conversation that's happening. It's changed because
Yep.
it's all happening on digital now.
It's a really important point because so the lesson is that it's still about word of mouth.
Yep.
It's just the medium of word of mouth has changed.
Absolutely.
It has moved from actual word of mouth to word of text, to word
Sure.
of mouse, word of
Social, yeah.
word
Yeah.
of messenger.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
all about word of something else other than
Yeah.
people speaking to each other.
Right.
And whether we like it or not, that's the world we live in.
Sure.
Is we have to deal with the mobile shift.
Exactly.
And it's all happening on the mobile phones.
Well, and think about it. When your patient isn't with you, what are they doing?
They're on their phones.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right. Everybody's
Right?
on their phones.
You have to be where your patient is,
Yes.
and they're no longer getting the print marketing in the mail.
Right.
Right? It's what was relevant before is no longer relevant. You have to stay with the relevancy, and especially if they're going like this,
Right.
you need to be where they are.
You know, when you hit on something I think is really important, you were talking about how if in the digital world a patient expects an experience and they come in and they don't
Sure.
get that experience,
Right.
they, first of all, in the digital space, your patients are trying to get to know you.
Right.
And then when they come into your practice, you need to build their trust with them. You need to give them the experience that they were expecting to achieve when they come into your practice.
Sure.
And so making sure that you're aligned, it's interesting having been over client success and calling thousands of practices and being with thousands of practices. Our customers who get that never struggle with getting reviews. Their staff
Sure.
loves to ask for reviews. It's because they have that connection with their patients. And so, you know, to Nikki's point is getting into the digital space isn't just about having a Facebook page
Or a website.
or a website.
Yep.
It's about designing an experience there, and you have to have the
Connect.
basics first, which is the ability to connect with your patients.
Absolutely.
So digital, if we were to summarize this our segment of ours, is really about connecting. Digital is a tool today
Yeah.
that helps us connect with patients better.
And that is
Um,
exactly what the Banyan technology is all about.
Right.
That's the why. We want to connect. We want them to connect with each other.
Well, great. We'll talk more about other topics. Thank you for this
Sure.
segment, and we'll continue.